Greetings, my name is Jessica Lee and I am the International Youth Conference Director. Today's session, we are focusing on voices from the ground, stories of grassroots leaders. We are joined by Atreya Manaswi, who is a student researcher on beekeeping, Gokul Rajendran, who is the CEO of Govardhan App and Climate Entertainment, and Rachel Sutton, who is the founder of the Students for Planet Initiative. And now I will turn the floor to our speakers today to introduce themselves and also to talk about the work that they do. Atreya, please.
Thank you so much, Miss Lee. Hi, everybody. My name is Atreya Manaswi. I'm a 10th grade student from Orlando, Florida, and I've been working on honeybee conservation for the past 5 years nearly now. I began my research journey at age 12, and I was inspired by a friend's grandfather. After learning about his decline in beekeeping practices, I furthered my interest by reading and then reaching out to professionals in this field and conducting research. So for the past 4 years, the issue that I've been focusing on is a major pest species of the honeybee called the small hive beetle. And if you didn't already know, honeybees are extremely important. They perform 80% of global food and crop pollination. 1 in every 3 bites of food we eat comes from bees, and they contribute $183 billion annually to the global economy. They're extremely important. However, in the US, in the past 7 decades alone, we've seen over a 50% decline in honeybee populations, which is alarming. One of the major drivers of this bee decline is due to pest infestation of hives. And the small hive beetle that I mentioned is a major pest of the honeybee. The issue with this beetle is that the majority of treatments for it are chemical based. These chemicals are not only extremely expensive, pose severe health hazards, risk environmental contamination, but they also have very high residues inside of the colony. And because of all of those adverse effects, I wanted to approach this from an organic alternative standpoint. And what it created over the past 3 years is a novel organic-based treatment solution that's actually based on the volatile composition of beer. And through comparative trials, I found that it was just as effective as the industry's leading chemical for small hive beetle treatment, and also 80 times cheaper than that leading chemical. Globally, this treatment has the potential to save the beekeeping industry $1 billion annually, and it offers many environmental, health, and economic advantages.
Thank you so much, Atreya. And Rachel, please.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. First, I want to say, Atreya, that is amazing what you're doing. I admire you so much for that. And as someone who really does have a soft spot for bees, it's just amazing what you're doing. So I got started with environmentalism. When I was really young, I used to have like very bad anxiety, and I found that some of the only things that could help me were, engaging with nature, whether that means like taking a walk outside or listening to some kind of like meditation or thinking about my favorite animal or like imagining a walk in the rainforest. There are so many different ways that I engage with nature from a really young age. And I think I realized this way how crucial the natural world is to not only global biodiversity, but to human health and mental health. And as soon as I learned that, as soon as I got to an age where I was knowledgeable about the climate crisis and biodiversity loss and habitat fragmentation and all of those issues that affect the species that I grew up, leaning on for mental health support, the little girl in me was so upset. And so I, for a while, came into this fear and inaction, like so many climate activists have done. And I eventually moved on to working on this with the only way I knew how, which was working with my school. So I began to look at the New York State education curriculum. I live in New York State, and kind of analyze the standards that exist and build my own sort of additions to that curriculum that I believed were climate friendly, that I believed would help sustainability. And I have implemented those standards to go along with the New York State interdisciplinary standards in multiple like school districts in my area, calling and emailing, you know, faculty at different school districts. And this is definitely the kind of epitome of grassroots, because I felt for a while like I wasn't really making a difference, like what I was doing was kind of in vain. But there's something to be said for making an impact on your community and being in classes and seeing the climate standards being implemented.
Yes, thank you so much, Atreya. Thank you, Rachel. Youth leadership is vital to addressing the shared challenges we face, and members across disciplines like you yourself can join to enhance the partnership and identify possibilities for innovation. And here I would like to turn the floor to Goku.
Hey everyone, thank you so much, Jessica and International Youth Conference for giving me this opportunity. These guys here are making me inspire, like Atreya and Rachel. They are really good at this age. They are doing a really lot of work. So thank you so much for that, because we all need to work for the nature, and you guys are doing it. That thing that most of the people doesn't even care. So like thank you so much for that. And yeah, it's my part, right? It's time for me to say who I am. So I'm Gokul. I'm from India, and I'm a medical student, like final year medical student, working on indigenous medicine, studying on indigenous medicinal plants like Ayurveda back in India. So I have an initiative called Govardhan app, which is in like we wanted to give a username to every single plant and animal in the world. So as a start, we are collecting information about how people, like indigenous people, are using medicinal plants, so that we can preserve that information for the future generation. We want to validate the information with the use of social media as a power, and also collecting more information. We wanted to show the world that how biodiversity is so important, because we don't know how each plant is contributing to our safety. Because whenever we look outside, we see a plant and we take it as granted, but the plant is doing a lot for us, and people need to understand that. So with the power of little bit value, like information about medicinal use of the plant, and also we wanted to build a community around the plant, so that people get to know the plants, so that they come in connected with the nature, like how what Rachel told. Like she got a chance to get connected to the nature. Most of the people in the cities doesn't get a chance. So we want to make that happen with the app. That's the main goal of Govardhan app, like connecting the people back to nature with medicine, how holistically it affects our health, and also our well-being, our everything related to us, because our biodiversity is around us and it's like protecting us. So that's the main idea. And also I'm working on another project called Climate Entertainment, which is also a awareness, like education thing. We wanted to create movies. So we go to different conferences around the world, and we use the young people over there. So by using the young people over there, we create movies, which is like what we talk on the conference. Like if it's a COP27, we take the topics over there, simplify that into entertaining and fun, and also informative thought processing, which creates like more public awareness without making the people bored, because scientific stuff and climate stuff is making people bored. So we have to like get the attention of the people by the entertaining way. So for that, we created the Climate Entertainment. We had our first conference in Mexico, like what Jessica told. She also just knows a little bit about all these things what I'm doing, because she also is a part of that. Like Jessica helped me with Govardhan app and connecting me to the Chinese medicine in Berkeley, AIMC. it was really nice experience that going there, doing our own small conference over there, getting to know the acupuncture and everything. This was, thank you so much, Jessica, for that. So it was like a real local level intervention. From that point onwards, I got a new confidence that there is like a lot in common in traditional knowledge around the world. Like our culture is also so much related to each other. So the biodiversity, culture, and back then we used to respect nature so much, but now we are not doing that. That's the main thing I got from all that local experience I had, thanks to Jessica. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Goku. And it's so wonderful to have you here at the International Youth Conference to explore how nature based solutions and sustainable solutions can work towards tackling the climate crisis. And here I would like to turn to all three of you, Atreya, Rachel, Goku. What are some challenges that you have faced while starting your initiative and working in the works that you are working in now?
Maybe
I
Atreya
could,
should go first.
yeah, sure.
Atreya.
I'd love to start that. So, especially being a youth in the field of research, first off, getting connections in this field and making my way into it was extremely difficult at first. I sent dozens and dozens of cold emails, called so many people, cold calling, and only got a few replies. But there was one reply that stood out in particular, and that one reply was really all I needed to begin my journey. So after I reached out to an individual and got a response back from them, I began my work in the laboratory. And ever since then, I transitioned into the field and I've been working on papers, presenting, and publishing. I've had my fair share of struggles in this process. I've had tests fail, beakers spill, samples go entirely wrong. And there's been times when I haven't known exactly what something is or how to execute something properly. So, through the process of falling in love with learning, I've really learned a lot about myself and the process of academic research in general. How you go from just identifying a problem to developing an idea and then actually executing that in the form of a solution and then presenting that and seeing what the community thinks about that. And so I've really learned a lot about that entire invention process through my research.
Thank you, Atreya. And Rachel?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that about the feeling of, not getting responses. For me, I thought one of the most difficult things was how people have a tendency to put young people on a pedestal. It's so easy for people to write me off as like naive or incapable because of my age. And at the same time, it's difficult to get real change because it's so much easier to kind of tell me like, oh, you have a bright future, and to pat me on the back, which is great. But what I'm asking is for you to make change here, right now. I've been told so many times that youth are the future, but people fail to realize that youth are the now. And people don't realize that youth aren't just capable because of what they can be as adults. They are capable, as is. And I recognize that I do have a lot to learn, and a lot of that comes with age. And at the same time, it's thoughts and comments like that are a little discouraging, and they intimidate people into coming into the youth and climate space.
Thank you, Rachel and Goku.
So these guys are like really inspiring me. So they all told everything what I wanted to say. Okay, so for me it's like the same thing Atreya told. It's like people doesn't respond to most of the mails we send. It's because they're mostly busy and it's like an organization structure. Even IYC has an organization structure, and it's taken lots of time and processing, and like people ideating together each other and everything. It takes a lot of time for something to happen. So that's the one main issue I think I'm like personally experience, like when it comes to decision making for an organization like an NGO or something. They have to go through a lot of processes, like different people has to, like the president, the executive member, the next thing, like it takes a lot of time. And it's not, it's, I'm not saying it's bad, but we need to innovate on that thing, how people uh, like respond to young people. How can they get their ideas to be to improve, or like how can we help more ideas to be try to be implemented. That's the main thing. And one of the main issues I think there was is that people doesn't really know how to recognize the talent or special, why a person is special. Like I cannot say that how special Atreya is. Only Atreya can say that how special he is because he knows him more than me. So it's like a little bit hard, but being as a young leader, it's something we all should train on, to make to realize how other person is so special. How can she be or he be special? To let them know and bring out their specialty to the world. So that's the main thing I would like to say. Other than that, there is a lot of issues going on around the world, which I personally had to face, because one thing was like going to different conferences, getting to know other people, funding. Visa was the main the other main issue for me while traveling. To travel all alone as a young leader, that was so challenging for me. I was sick in between everything. And yeah, that was a lot, but most important thing I faced was visa processing. For me to go to US, I had to travel to Jakarta. I came to Canada, then I had to fly back to Jakarta, then come back to US. That was the journey was so sad, like stressful for me, because I had like invite from the UN headquarters to attend the conference of UN CSW 67 and UN Water Conference. I had an invite from the Harvard University for their conference as well. With these three invitation letters, with a special invite letter from the Harvard University, I applied for emergency visa in India. And the US embassy said, we can't give you an emergency appointment. So that I had to wait 1 year for my visa. So I couldn't wait that much time. So I had to fly like madness. I had to do all that myself, go to all these places to do it myself. And funding was an issue. Thank God I got some funding from some organizations like nature, this one HPAIR and everything, so that I had the scholarship helped me travel, because still I'm a student right now, so that's something helped me out. So yeah, that's the one issue. People doesn't get to understand young people how capable they are, and learning about processes was also difficult, as uh, yeah, most of the young people I see, they try to mimic the like the other generation. Like if I go to a conference, I see that most of the young people try to like be like more official, like wear the suits and everything, come more official. But we don't need to be like that. We can just be our young person. As our age, what we want to do, we can do. I did it recently. I went to like the UN headquarters and I did a walk, like really crazy walk inside the really crazy walk in the General Assembly. And if Antonio, like, if someone else like an official does that, it'll be like a really controversial thing. But as a young person, I could do that, and people were like applauding that. Wow, it was really nice that people shared that video and showed to other young people that how important like youth action is. So I could do that because I was a young person. So as a young person, you guys should like recognize that power, how young people can like be young and make the change happen, because we don't need more officials. Yeah.
As we are learning to grow our skill sets, we are interacting with the community, and this is what we hope to achieve. And that is how we are able to apply our talents and being able to skillfully, strategically communicate our points across in an appropriate and in a respectful manner. Above all, we need to maintain well being because as students, we have school, we have community service, then we have our future. nobody takes care of our future except ourselves. And we need to maintain good health and well being so that we can continue working in what we're working in. And having to grow that connection, that network that is reliable, that will not be disconnected after a few calls away, but will be maintained and strengthened. So build a network that is strong and realize the worth and value of the work that we do. That will help us get the proper attention and resources that will help to as scale up our initiatives. And here I want to focus specifically on each and every one of your works. Atreya, I know that you work in beekeeping. What tips and resources would you recommend the youth and young adults and people of all ages to work in beekeeping, to research on beekeeping? And why do we need to work in beekeeping?
My apologies, I was muted. Thank you so much, Miss Lee, for the question. So, as I mentioned, honeybees are extremely important. One in every 3 bites of food we eat every day was helped along somewhere by a bee. Without bees, if bees were to go extinct, they pollinate 80% of all food and crop species, and those crops at the base of the food chain would cease to exist. That would have amplifications on and on up the food chain, and this would affect entire ecosystems and biodiversity on Earth, which is why I dedicated myself towards fighting against or accomplishing the Sustainable Development Goals 13 and 15, which are climate change and life on Earth. The best way to learn about anything, in my opinion, not just beekeeping, but anything in general, is just through reading and learning from experts. Empowering yourself with the knowledge that you actually need to go about and make change is the best thing that you can do to actually fully and completely understand the topic. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. For those who don't have an extensive background in research and writing, what tips do you recommend besides reading and learning through experts? So, for example, I do realize that some of our students and community members, they come from underprivileged, under-resourced communities. How are we able to ensure that they too have the means, accessible means to learn about beekeeping?
So that's a great question. The best thing that I could say for somebody in that position, and I've worked with many students and students at schools that are underprivileged or in that sort of environment, is to start somewhere and start with something. Finding something in your community that you're passionate about, developing an idea for it, and then translating that into some sort of solution. It doesn't matter exactly how large of a scale your project will have an impact on, but rather that you try to do something to work towards a solution for a problem. Developing some sort of solution and starting somewhere is really the best way to learn, learning through practice. And so that's the one piece of advice that I would give any young person that wants to venture into the realm of inventing anything or coming up with any idea in general. Practice.
Great. Thank you so much, Atreya, for the wonderful tip. And Rachel, we now turn to you. Since you also work in the climate space and you're a high school student, how do you see yourself working in the climate space onward, meaning beyond the high school level? Do you have any plans of scaling up your initiative? And since many of us are actually working in the agri-food systems, climate space, oceanic space, research and writing, how do you see your work being incorporated into these disciplines?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Sorry, there's a little bit of noise, but I would say that I would see myself in the future. I know I'm really passionate. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Sorry, there's some. In the future, I would see myself working in the climate space in some way because my interests are an intersection of both like wildlife and conservation and the more science-based part of environmentalism and the kind of outreach and like grassroots activism. I am not 100% sure what I'm going to do in the future, but I would love to work at some sort of intersection between wildlife science, which I'm really passionate about, and then also kind of connecting on the ground and making a change like person to person, you know? And so I see in the future, I would love to scale up to Students for Planet. This year, I haven't had as much time to work on this just because I am in my junior year of high school and things are kind of ramping up academically. And I've been focusing a lot on that. But I really hope to get to at least 10 school districts in my region of New York by in the coming years, because once I do have time, I would love to move towards that goal. And I would see my work being integrated in the kind of oceans and agriculture and more science-based initiatives by working with these groups to incorporate the science and the very, very important research that they do into something that is digestible and understandable for younger populations in school education systems, because a lot of times students, like Atreya mentioned, can feel intimidated by the fields that so many important professionals like you guys do work in. And so just breaking that down and communicating that to a young student from a young age, I would say.
That's great. Thank you so much, Rachel. And I love how you are goal oriented. You already set a goal for what you are planning to do. And you are planning to incorporate so many areas into your work, and you're trying to expand the reach of your work. And being active in the community really helps you to scale up the initiatives. And I like how you have an initiative that not only works in the climate space, but also in the ocean space, environmental space, and also in spaces that try to raise awareness of raising that climate awareness, and also an eco-friendly manner. And thank you for the work that you do. And thank you so much to Atreya for the work that you do. And here, Goku, I
Sorry.
would like to turn to you. And since you are studying medicine, plant medicine, would you be able to talk to us a little bit about how interrelated are between health, climate, nature-based medicine, and climate education and youth involvement?
It's really a vast topic. So when I was talking to the professor in Chinese med school, we were coming up with new topics like in like 5 seconds, 5 seconds. We were talking about a lot of things, and we forgot. Like it's like really volatile as well, but it was like a continuous talk. There was no end for that, because like she was mentioning that we could use holistic medicine for the people who are working in climate space, because most of the time she was saying that most of her friends who volunteer, not friends, patients who volunteer, doesn't show up because of when they get a free time, they just go for a volunteering thing. So the mental well-being as it was going down. So one of the main issues was that, and we could use that, like use of medicinal plants for the treatment of these people starts, we can start from that point. It's like really vast thing you have asked me right now. So I can say that it's really interrelated. So there's a lot of things I can say, like AMR, antimicrobial resistance, which we had like a intervention in the European Union Pavilion at COP27, which we told WHO that we need to add more traditional or medicine or herbal medicine to our daily usage, because most of the time people just go to the pharmacy and get the medicine. Like for small diseases itself, they just go to the pharmacy, get the medicine. And if they knew how to use traditional medicine, or those medicine those their grandparents or their ancestors used, if they knew how to use that, they could have used that. And the global antimicrobial resistance will not be a global issue anymore, but it's something which we should fear. Because you can see the effect of the pandemic here right now. It's like global like everyone has to sit in their rooms, right, because of that. But if we go ask people to connect to this herbal source of medicine, so mostly we can bring that down. Also, we can ask the people to connect to the nature, bringing more value to the nature more than what we don't see, like a capsule with names written like a paracetamol or something like that. So it's like more artificial rather than a natural thing. So that's one thing. And it can go further, it's like really big topic. So yeah, can you ask me a same similar question or something related to that? Something
Yes,
you wanted to
and
hear, yeah.
yeah, something I would
Because
like
I'm
to
not
hear
getting.
is
Uh-huh.
is what the participants would like to hear. So now I'm gonna go
Hmm.
over to the participants and see what questions
Yeah.
they have. And here there is
Oh.
one question specifically for Goku, and that's about your app. Do you also collect data from the northeast region of India? And is your app free access?
Yeah, it's right now it's available on entire planet. So we wanted to get information about how like different plants around the world, but it's only available in Android right now. I'm trying to build one like a web app so that everyone can use that from their smartphone itself, like any phone or computer, any device you have. So I'm on the work of that. And also the app is available for everyone. And still I'm doing my research on the app because it's like a new concept itself. So I need to figure out what are the data should I collect, so that this can be a useful information for those who are practicing like the Western medicine, Eastern medicine, whatever medicine it is. It should be useful for them, for the botanists who are working on like validating this information. Not botanists, like the chemists who validate the information about how effective these medicines are. Because that's one of the biggest challenges this our like traditional medicine is like facing. Because when I talked to one of the physicians from Harvard University, she told me like she wanted to know what's in her prescription before giving it to a patient. So that's one of the challenges I am facing. So I need to tackle these two things. And with my travel around the world, not around the world, to San Francisco, having a conversation with the Chinese medicine, seeing a lot of action over there. Like we went to this redwood plant. Yeah, I forgot to say that. So one thing was that she showed me, the professor of Chinese medicine, they took me to a forest which was filled with redwoods. So before entering the forest, they took our pulse. We checked each other's pulses and mental strength with the like toolkits that Chinese medicine provides. So it was like really nice to learn about that. Like I got a lucky opportunity for that, thanks to Jessica. And yeah, so after I checked, we checked each other's like pulses and everything. And we were asked to go into the forest, stay there in a space for like 30 minutes, because after that there are classes. So we were sitting inside the forest, like meditating, whatever I wanted to. I was like sitting there and doing. So it after that, we came outside, we checked our pulse, and we had like a lower pulse, and also much better calmness and everything. So it's there is an effect of nature on us that we really felt, and I really felt. So that was an amazing experience I had. So nature is really helping us with our uh, what like health and well-being as well. So recently we launched a new campaign called Respected Food, which is like happening in India right now, just starting to today Indian time, like after 10 hours I think from now. So it's like a campaign we are doing, starting with an Instagram live soon. So it's like holistic medicine, like organic and the need for conservation of food, and why we need holistic food. Like, it saves us money, it's related to health. It saves us money from giving too much money for health and everything. So it's like, if you guys are free at that time, you guys can join that. It's like respected health. It's in my IG as well, so you guys can take that. So for the question, I think I would like to say that it's available everywhere, but I'm still doing my research so that I have not like advertised it to everyone, like download the app, because maybe I need to like delete everything and start over again or something, I don't know, because I'm new to this coding as well, because I'm a medical student. So yeah, so that's happening. So soon maybe there will be the web app soon. Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you, Goku. And one more question for you from the audience.
Mhm.
What is the precision of data collected? How precise are the data that you have
Mhm.
collected?
So the most of the data we collect, we have volunteers from different parts of the world. Like Jessica, she helps me out. So if the data is from California, so uh, there will be people who are like ambassadors or who are willing to help out. This data will be sent to them. They will validate the information, like just see that data, like this plant is used for this purpose, that's it. If it looks authentic, they will just approve that, and that goes to the database. And after that, other people see this, and we use the same thing as social media, like likes, dislikes, downvote, experience, and everything, to get more information about the use of this plant, so that we can use that for medicinal research, and also validate the information how important this plant is. Second thing is that the experience. We want to build a community for the plant. It's like an Instagram for the plant. So the plant is having an Instagram, and how much followers the plant has, the more value the plant has, right? Similar to a human person, like how many followers I have, the more the value I will possess, right? Similar thing. So the more the value for the plants, the more the effect of climate, like we understand the biodiversity, and we will protect that. And also we have lots of other plants as well, so it's like not just this, we can extend this further. So just building the app. Yeah.
And definitely, as we care for ourselves, we have to care for wildlife and all the plants that are around us. We're basically caring for the entire ecosystem. As youth and young adults, we need to be confident in realizing the work that we do, in realizing the impact that we can make. If we are able to motivate one person, then we are making an impact. We need to be ourselves as youth and young adults. We have to take pride in realizing who we are. We come from diverse backgrounds, and we take pride from coming from a diverse background. I was the youngest in the office that I used to work in, and I learned quickly and I applied the knowledge appropriately in my work. And I was so proud of myself that I was able to work alongside many senior level coworkers and workers. And here in the community service, I am working with colleagues who have amazing backgrounds, and their expertise, their expertise is so knowledge, it's so widely in scope that they bring in so much knowledge, and they themselves are experts already. But yet some of them are so humble, and I wish that I can carry that humility with me in all the works that we do. And this platform, the International Youth Conference, we are so proud of highlighting the three of you, because Atreya and Rachel, you are high school students, and Goku, you are a university student. And all three of you have been preparing so much for this conference. We have been contacting each other, and we have been trying to make this panel as interactive and lively, as informative as possible. And I am so proud for the work that you all have been doing. And I am sure that the many commentaries that we have been receiving from the audience here, they're so encouraging. And I want to encourage all three of you to keep on doing what you do and to empower many others, children even, empower children to study, to research, to get in touch with one another, to work in the community. I started working in community service when I was 11 years old. So I have been volunteering for over a decade, and I still volunteer up to this date.
Yeah, I have seen that. And if there was something like a ban for volunteering, I should give that to Jessica because she's doing it too much volunteering thing. It's really true that whenever I asked her, like I was in San Francisco, I was asking her to like come, we can have something like I'm here for 2 3 days and you should come like have some time with me and we can go around. And she came one day. After that, every time I call her, she's saying, I have volunteering work to do. I have volunteering work to do. That was really like, even everyone over there was saying that Jessica is always there like that. She's always doing volunteering. And thanks so much for that, Jessica. We are all proud of that. And stop doing too much volunteering. Please take care of
Thank you so
yourself
much.
as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Goku.
Yeah, it's like it's
Thank you.
really big task you're doing, and you should also like everyone who is working on this field, who are in the listening to this, even those people are giving their time to gain some information and also learn something from this today. And most of the people out there doesn't do that. If just it's like a movie or something, they're just too excited, they'll just come and sit. But these people who are here, thanks for coming. And yeah, thanks for this opportunity, Jessica. It's really nice. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for organizing and everything. And like all three of you guys, I look up to you so much, and I have a lot to learn. Atreya, your research is amazing. Goku, I love your like innovative spirit and how you're pushing for such an ambitious goal. And like Jessica, you're like a really amazing moderator, and I admire how dedicated you are to community service. So I have a lot to learn from all of you guys, and I'm so thankful to be with a group that is so knowledgeable and so powerful. So thank you.
I also want to say thank you, Miss Lee, for giving us this platform. It's such an honor learning about both of you and the work that you're doing. Rachel, your curriculum and your initiative, and Gokul, your app, which I have a question about. So for your app, Gokul, so you said it's almost like an Instagram, but for plants, right? So an Instagram, yeah. So do the users of your app, do they have to, is there like an index that they use for the plant that they can put into the system to find what the plant is? Do they take a picture of the plant? How do they actually find out if they don't know the name of a plant or little information about it? How can they find out how to actually use that plant?
Okay, so we have like something like if you have a stomach problem, like you can search for data about stomach ache so that the plants used for stomach ache comes up. After that, you can see if it's available in your country or not, because it's like whole worldwide. So if it's available in your country, then you can just find the plant around, because we need more more development. We are planning on building the world's first virtual biodiversity park, so that the world is entirely a biodiversity park, and we give a message that we need to protect everything around us, not just a specific area. So that's our goal. It's something we wanted to build on, like make the app more special. And also it's like we can do more on that, but still it's like a lot of work. So yeah, that's the one way you can use the app. And people can upload data about we are using like by a scientific name as use like a unique code for giving the plant like unique data structure. But now I think we can't use that anymore. We need to innovate on that. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you once again, Miss Lee. You're an amazing moderator. I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you, Atreya. Thank you, Goku, and thank you, Rachel. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for bringing the perspective of maintaining well-being and staying healthy, and also addressing mental health. Because as students, we face challenges in school, we face challenges in the community, and we also face challenges perhaps in the family. So, how youth and
Yeah.
young adults are able to cope with all of these challenges and at the same time being able to achieve and be successful and realizing who we are and applying our talents to promote for the better good. That I want to thank you all so much for bringing in that point. And equal anxiety, mental health, and those two topics need to be addressed constantly. And we need to raise that, especially in the youth space. And I am so glad to have the youth leaders here, the three of you, that work in different disciplines, but yet similar in goals. I want to thank you so much for coming in to the session. We have a couple minutes, and I would like to turn the floor back to Atreya, Rachel, and Goku to give us some
Also, you
closing
should thank
remarks.
those people. Also, you should thank all those people who are listening to us right now, because they are also the leaders of the coming up generation. Not in generation, coming up people who are trying to make their own impact, learn from us here. So, thank you guys who are watching this right now. It's like 4 a.m. right now for me. And yeah, I'm still sitting here, like waiting for this opportunity to inspire other people. So yeah, so these guys who are watching us, they're also maybe doing the same. We are not knowing that. So thank you so much for coming up to the session. And you guys can reach me anytime. You can use my reach me through my Instagram or Facebook or anything. Yeah, probably you guys will tag us. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you so much. I see all the people in the chat. At the beginning of
Yeah.
the session, people were sharing where they're from. We have people all around the globe tuning in. So that's amazing. And
Yeah.
thank you all so much. I see a question in here. It's from Imad. It's asking, what specific challenges do grassroots leaders face in driving change at the community level? And how can these challenges be addressed to ensure that their contributions are recognized and valued in creating sustainable social, economic, and political transformations? So this goes back to that point we were talking about at the beginning of the discussion. And I think Rachel mentioned something about this. Being a youth, you get a lot of pushback, especially from your ideas and the aspects that you have and that you're suggesting towards current day problems. But I really think that youth inclusion at all levels, especially at the decision making table, is necessary because it's ultimately up to us youth to tackle the problems of today, such as climate change, poverty, global hunger, and of course, the honeybee crisis. So it's really essential for us to play a role in all levels of decision making and foster this level of learning and collaboration.
Yes, I would definitely agree with everything that you said and how important it is for youth to be involved on every level of decision making, so that people don't receive the condescending attitude, or oftentimes there's a misunderstanding that because people are younger, they are somehow less capable, somehow less, you know, powerful. They have a lot to learn. There's kind of this like cultural, at least in the United States, like you'll understand when you're older, and sometimes the old way of thinking is not productive. And just culturally, I do think that there needs to be a shift in favor of new ideas, new voices on both the individual level, like the person to person level, and there needs to be youth presence in politics and decision making.
Thank you so much, Atreya, Rachel, and Goku. And thank you to our participants and our audience for joining us today for this session. I would very much like to welcome you to watch and interact with us for the upcoming sessions. And hopefully, we would be able to see each other in the future. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.